Well guys, I forgot to record my cutting this blank out, so I used the plasma cutter here and just cut it out. You can see it's pretty rough right now, but I'll clean it up. In this particular frame, I'm trying to hammer the bevel of the knife edge, and so I'm using a 4.5-pound hammer. And if you notice, I'm striking it on the knife edge, and so I'm really not hitting the surface of the hammer with the knife at the top of the knife, just really trying to make that bevel. And a lot of guys will grind this bevel, and of course I have to grind too, but I like to hammer it out as best I can. Here I'm just, I've got a smaller hammer here, and I'm just trying to refine the edges now and just refine the whole blade. I've got it beveled at this point, and I know I've skipped a lot. I apologize. I'm just trying to keep the videos somewhat reasonable. You just can't record it all, but here I'm just kind of doing some refining, trying to make sure everything's where I want it before I do my quench to harden it. And now I'm going to just do a little refinement on the handle, try to get that cleaned up just a little bit, a little less grinding if I can get things a little truer, a little cleaner. Try to get some finger grooves in there where my hands will kind of fit in nicely. Here I'm just doing a final brushing just to clean it up, get some of that scale off of there. Gonna take it to the grinder after this, and we'll start the grinding process. Of course, we want to grind it down, get it in good shape before we quench it. We're going to fly through this grinding process, guys. I use a 1x42-inch grinder for most everything. I do file, I do use some hand sanding and a little Dremel, and I may show you a little bit of that stuff, but we're going to kind of move through this part of the video really fast. Here I'm just showing you a line that I've drawn on the knife. I'm going to grind this section of the edge off just to give it a cleaner, nicer appearance. And here I'm just drilling a few holes in for the pins of the handle. And I'm going to kind of put a drop point in this. I've decided to kind of change the design just a bit. This is the nice thing about making your own knives. You can make it the way you want it. And here I'm just going to use the file. I like to use a hand file. It gives me a lot of control and allows me to get real precise in some areas. Well, as you can see, I've been working on 3 different knives. The Drop Point Hunter is the knife in the center, and that's the one that I've been recording and videoing, getting ready to quench them. And so I'm just getting my fire prepared for that. Three knives have now been hardened, and so I'm going to do some finish grinding on them and maybe try to get the handles set today. I did want to point out one thing. I've got a jig that I use. It's just a very simple jig. You can unscrew it and use different parts on the top, but essentially my knife slides in here, and then I actually clamp it down. I'll use a little clamp, and that allows me to get the exact same angle every time. I got holes on a board down here, and I'll try to get a quick picture. So hopefully you can see so this would go in. Try to get an overhead picture of that. Sorry for the bumbling here, but so right there's one hole for this side, and then I just simply flip it over and I stick it in that hole, and then do the exact same thing on the other side. I hope that makes sense. I hope I've got that. That's horrible video, I apologize. But anyways, just to try to give you an idea of kind of the jig that I've got, and you know, there's lots of ways of doing this. This works for me, and it's easy. Okay, so I've got this on time-lapse videos, so it's not to bore you too much, but you can see the jig, and that's how I cut my bevel. Works really, really nice. Okay, guys, so I've done some grinding now on the first knife.
So as you can see, I've got to 120 grit. So these two knives here I haven't started grinding on them, obviously. You can kind of see now, a lot of guys are going to say this line right here is not even, and you would be correct. It isn't even. And the reason for that is because this knife is forged. This isn't just a blank cut out. I actually have to forge this. I do get a rough blank cut out, but then I actually have to forge the shape and what have you into this, and I even forge a taper into the actual blade knife itself. And big part of the reason I do that is I feel that it provides a stronger steel by packing it like that. Not much of a change. Just trying to get that angle cut just right, and I was just a little bit off. So I'll use a file to kind of clean it up, but it's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, first off, let's get some on the wood here. Don't need much, but I like to get a little bit on the whole thing. It's way overkill, but that's fine. I'd rather have overkill than not enough. There it is. That went right in.
Hey, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next video.